Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of Hardwood Hooligans. No guests tonight. This is draft Bulls discussion. Me and Tim by ourselves going solo because we have a lot of things we'd like to say about our thoughts on the Bulls draft and Coby White and how it played out. We're going to talk a little Daniel Gafford too, which kind of an interesting pick, right? And then we're going to pivot into free agency, both Bulls and NBA, talk a little KD, a little Kawhi, where the hell is Kyrie going to go, all that stuff. And then we'll kind of zoom in on the Bulls a little bit to see where the hell they're going to go during free agency once July 1st hits. So on draft night on Thursday, Tim, myself, and my other podcast mate from 3 Alphas, Dan Meehan, were in Downers Grove at a bar. We decided to all get together and watch it. And I had a sick, kind of sinking feeling going into it just because the draft board never breaks the way for the Bulls, I guess. And the way it played out with Culver going right ahead, I just felt like somebody punched me in the gut, man. And I know Tim shares my feelings on this as well, so we want to dive in. And before we get started, before anybody turns this podcast, we're going to do, actually, this is our first podcast too that we're doing. So we got YouTube and we're going to have a podcast thing. So if you're listening to us, thank you very much. If you're watching us, awesome. So we're not here to bash Coby White, okay? We're here to give you an honest evaluation of what we saw, because I think that's only fair, and we both hope we're wrong about him. All right. So Tim, if you want to kick it off, what was Thursday like and your overall thoughts?
So I going into it, everybody knew pretty much what was going to transpire, the first 3 picks. Late in the day, the Hawks made the trade to move up to 4, and there's a report that came out, I don't know who from, that they were going to select DeAndre Hunter, which, I thought from there,
it was going to break well for the Bulls. I thought
exactly. I thought Garland was going to get selected 4th, and then potentially Coby White, But then the Suns made a move, which kind of baffled me because they were in the market for a point guard, which I thought they would, take Coby White. But now it looks like they've exhausted all of their cap room, which they can't even go after D'Angelo Russell now, which, another interesting move by the Suns. But anyways, Culver was falling. I thought he was going to fall right into our lap. The Bulls, that is. And then out of nowhere, Minnesota takes Culver, and then that leaves us with Coby White. And let me get this. I just want you guys to know that I'm not a Coby White hater. Let's
get that straightened up right now between me and Tim. We don't hate Coby White, all right? We do not. We don't want him to fail. No. He's a great kid. His story about his dad and all that is freaking heartbreaking. He's not going to be a bad player. We're not here to say that, okay? Let's just get that out in the open before anybody turns us off and is like, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. Calm down for a sec. Just hear us out. Let us talk about our feelings and everything else, because I'll kick it back to you, Tim, but I think we really do have an honest take about it.
I wanted the Bulls to make an aggressive move.
Yep.
And this just kind of, was the card that was played, every single year, for the most part, besides, the Doug McDermott trade that blew up in their face. And maybe that's why they're scared to make an aggressive move again. But Coby White is a high floor guy. I don't think he's going to fail, even though, his measurables aren't favorable. He has that 6'5" wingspan and he's 6'4". It's just I went through the previous combines and things like that and did some research, and with point guards that have a lot of I wouldn't say he's definitely not like a Derrick Rose, John Wall, Russell Westbrook type of point guard, but he's fast. He likes to play high octane type of offense where he's good in transition. We know that. But the half court, offense side of things, that's what scares me with him. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He doesn't really know how to create a shot in the half court. He struggles. He doesn't have a go-to move to get past players. Those are the type of things that I feel that I'm nervous about. He'll be fine. He'll learn that under Boylen, I think. But he has a lot of things to overcome with those measurables.
Yep, agreed 100%. Here's where I'm at to kind of piggyback off of you. And it's not fair to him, okay, because of the length argument. And he's not an explosive athlete. He's not Wall. He's not Westbrook. He's not Rose. Morant's a better athlete. He's not a high flyer. He's 6'5", but for a guy who's 6'5", you'd think he'd be able to play more above the rim. He can't because he's more quick and fast than he is explosive and twitchy. That's the difference. Like Ty Lawson was fast as hell, not explosive. There's a difference between the two. Like Derrick Rose had the combo of explosion and the speed. Same with John Wall. Same with Westbrook.
And then a lot of this comes down to stop and go speeds too.
Yeah,
can you change speeds? Yep. Would it be fair? He's not great at changing speeds.
Here's what needs to happen with him, and we're gonna get into his skill set. He can change speeds better because it's not going to come naturally off of his athleticism if he develops dribble. If he develops, like, there was one time we had Tyus Jones. I watched him against Duke last night at Duke, where Tyus Jones ate his ass up the first game with pressure and defense. He did this little, like, half-turn pivot, and Tyus went the other way real quick, and then Coby could have gone. So he can set guys up. His dribble is going to have to be the ways that he blows by guys, because he doesn't have that quick, change of, that agility, that short area burst. He does when he's moving. He doesn't have it when he's stopping and starting. That's the difference. That's that short area, quick twitch, muscle fiber type stuff. He doesn't have that. So it's not fair to Coby to say you need, like, unless that dude goes to Europe and gets some sort of procedure, right, that extends his arms. With Coby, he went to, like, Europe to get that knee thing done. Unless there's something out there that can help him stretch out his arms, his length is not going to get any better. So when I first saw him, and I go over this again and again to people I talk to on Twitter, on the podcast, and I don't want to sound redundant, but it matters because the first time you watch the guy, I think they make an impression on you. Good. I mean, maybe it's fair, maybe it's not fair. But for Coby White, I was like, oh, this kid can play a little bit, right? I thought he was like 6'2", 6'3" when I first watched him. And then it came out that he's closer to 6'5" in shoes. I was like, whoa. Then why isn't he playing like that? Why isn't a 6'5" point guard physically dominating the floor? Or why isn't he popping off the screen at me? Like Zion is 6'7", right? Zion plays like he's 6'10". Now, not fair to compare Coby to Zion, but there's other guys that have and when you have length, it makes you play bigger. Like Gilbert Arenas was 6'3", 6'9" wingspan.
That's why I hate the comparison between him and Coby White.
It does the measurables.
Gilbert Arenas yes, he was a little streaky. He was a little bit of a streaky shooter. But when he was on, there was, countless amount of times where he dropped 50 in the big league. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude was unreal on the court sometimes. Yeah. Plus, he was a little crazy too. He slept in like a hyperbaric chamber, and like this dude was, he brought it. He was an alpha scorer. Coby White is not an alpha. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not rooting against him. I'm rooting for him because of his situation. He seems like a great kid, but there's a lot of work to be done with his shot too. He started off hot in the beginning of the season in North Carolina, and it kind of faded. I don't know if, Joe, you have the numbers in the tournament, but I think he shot something like, 22, 23% from three in the tournament.
Yep. So I'll pull those up. So I'll try to multitask while I'm doing that. So for the people who are listening, this is kind of a linear and an audio version. So if you want to see kind of what we're talking about with pulling up stats, go to our YouTube site at Hardwood Hooligans. You'll see this up, and we're about 8 or 9 minutes into the podcast right now. So if you want to see kind of what I'm pulling up on my screen, go to YouTube. So let's pull them up here. And I'm going to go to Sports Reference, which is really cool because you can click on games and it's going to pull up what happens. So let me zoom this in a bit. So in 5 games, 2 ACC tournament and 3 NCAA tournament games, Coby White averaged 14 points a game, 35% from the field. So he averaged 14 shots a game, made 5. He was 20% from 3 on near 7 attempts a game. So he only made 1.5 threes on 7 attempts
per game.
In 5 postseason games. So he did have 4 assists, but the assists that he was making were a lot of he would, Cam Johnson would come off of a curl and he'd hit him, or Luke May. They were set plays. He wasn't really creating for his guys. So he was not good. Now, some people argue he had a foot or an ankle injury before the Auburn game. Okay, well, let's throw the Auburn game out then. Let's look at the previous 4 games. He averaged 14 points, shot 37% on 25% from 3, 26. Still not great. Still not good.
I don't want to keep harping on the wingspan, but when you have a shorter wingspan, traditionally, you struggle defensively. There are, some examples where, like Jimmy Butler, I think he has a +1 inch wingspan, and he's, one of the best defenders in the league, on-ball defenders. So you can overcome that. But these are the type of things that really, are worrisome to me.
Yeah, and Jimmy's also extremely strong. He moves well laterally, and he's explosive. He dunks on guys and dunks over guys. And his brute strength is a big reason why he can overcome some of those length limitations. Coby, I'm not sure how much Coby can put on as far as muscle-wise to his frame. He's already kind of cut. I'm not sure how much more muscle he can add because you don't want him to become too bulky, and then it slows him down.
I think out of all point guards, he had the least amount of body fat.
So already pretty cut. So he's already pretty cut, right? And it's harder for a guy who's more stocky, not stocky, but less lengthy and shoulders and all of that to put on more weight and become kind of a bully. So here's my thing with Coby. And I want to come back around to it. He can't grow length-wise, right? He can maybe get a little bit faster and maybe a little bit more explosive, but it's not like he can tap into genetics to become an elite athlete. He's not a natural point guard at this stage in a half court. He's got kind of a basic dribble for a point guard. He has some go-to behind the back moves, and he'll cross you a little bit, but he can't really stack his dribble. He dribbles high. It's not low to the ground. It's not on a string. So he has to develop that end of it. He's kind of a streaky shooter from the outside. Some games he'll hit 7 threes and he'll go 0 for 6. So that kind of worries me a little bit. He's not a knockdown guy yet. The other piece of this too.
But I'll stop you. He was a better catch and shoot prospect than Culver. But we'll give him that. Culver was awful in the catch and shoot situations in college. So that is going to help, especially when Zach LaVine's driving to the rim and the second defender comes. You'll have someone to kick out and hopefully knock down a 3.
But you didn't draft Coby White to be the off-ball guy.
But that's what he's going to have to be.
Then that's kind of a problem. Like Zach LaVine, I love Zach. I think Zach's got another gear he can hit offensively. I think he's got a playmaking level he can get to. I don't know if he can be a full-time creator. I don't think that's his game. I think he's more of an off-ball creator. Well, Coby White is also an off-ball creator. So you've got 2 guys who can't really run an offense, playing off of each other, that aren't very good defensively. Like that, to me, people say it's a good fit, and I kind of think back, Coby's going to have to exceed his ceiling in multiple areas, whether that's as a shooter, as a dribbler, in the half court with like the little nuances. He has very linear vision. Like in transition, like he had a sick bounce pass to Luke May against Duke in transition. Like he threaded the needle. I shared it with Tim earlier in the day. I was like, that was awesome. That's also to his strengths. Now, later in the game, he had a pick and roll situation where Luke popped out weak side, and he doesn't have the peripherals yet. Maybe he can develop them, but he's very much line of sight. There's not a manipulation of defenders. He can't see the play before the play. He's very, very raw. This is where it comes back down to me. He doesn't show command of the half court. He rarely showed that. So if he can get there, great. I'm going to be wrong about him. But I'm not going to project a guy to be able to do something that I haven't seen. Like, it'd be just like if a guy can't shoot at all, has shown no ability to shoot, it's hard to project that guy to be able to shoot. Like, there's got to be some sort of tangible thing that you can chew on as an evaluator or whatever the hell you want to call us fans who watch film. There's got to be something tangible on film to chew on. Coby's great at up-tempo, but here, part of being a point guard and where he has to evolve into, because if he's just Gilbert Arenas, where did Gilbert get to in the playoffs with Caron Butler and Anton Jamison? Like, how far did they go?
You could argue that he didn't have a great supporting cast, Gilbert. But
he did have that Caron Butler team when they beat us.
Yeah, okay, true. But Caron Butler was an all-star once, I think. He had Antoine Jamison, which, he's nothing to brag about. But, he was a decent player. He was surrounded by glorified role players.
I don't want him to become Gilbert, though, because Gilbert made nobody better around him. He's a scorer. Like, Gilbert
I see where you're going with
this. This is where LaVine has to grow, right? He can be a scorer, but how do you make some guys better around you? You can't just be a scorer. You have to find different ways to impact the game other than scoring. And Coby White's not a plus defender yet. That length and getting around pick and rolls, he's going to get ate up. Mm-hmm. Absolutely ate up. And the other thing, too, is his standing reach is just above 8 feet. Kirk Heinrich's standing reach was 8'3". So, that matters. Yep. That matters. For a guy who's not very athletic as far as explosion, standing reach, when you put your arms up in the air, guys are going to be able to shoot over him when they drive, when he faces more athletic guards. Tyus Jones roasted him a couple times. Tyus Jones has Tyus Jones, right? Not Trey. Yeah. Trey's in the league. Tyus beat him a couple times. He shouldn't be beating him. My last point on Coby, and we can talk more about the positives of his game, is Coby maxes out his ability every time he's on the court. He is like Russell Westbrook, less crazy, less bat out of hell, but he's kind of the same in that he is up-tempo, fly by the seat of his pants almost every time he plays. He slowed down towards the end of the year, but his game was speed. He never took a playoff. You never watched Coby White and were like, oh, man, he dogged that play. So what you're seeing on the...
He leaves it out there on the floor, which what you love and you admire about a player.
It is what you do love. However, on the flip side of that, where's the level that he can get to? Where's the level up ability? Like, sometimes you'll watch a player who's kind of maybe going through the motions a little bit, figuring out the game, and then all of a sudden they pop. And it's like, oh, where the hell did that come from? You don't see that with Coby. Coby's playing the same way throughout the game. His game doesn't really evolve. It doesn't, as the game kind of tightens up and the screws tighten, Coby's game doesn't get to another area. That's a problem for me. Like, sometimes you can knock Cam Reddish all you want, but sometimes Cam would come out of freaking nowhere and he would just lock in and it'd be like, oh, okay, I see.
For example, the Florida State game, where he took over and he hit the game-winning shot.
And the Louisville game too, when he just completely took over. So Coby plays the same throughout the game. Like Derrick Rose, and it's unfair to compare Coby to Derrick, but I'm just talking in this sense. Derrick would read the game out first. You'd be like, Derrick's kind of a little passive today a little bit. And then in the fourth quarter or the third quarter, he would ratchet things up because he had that natural ability to do that. Coby doesn't. And not a lot of guys do, all right?
And to your point, he was the same way. He was the same way in Memphis throughout the regular season until, the NCAA tournament came along and he just went crazy in the tournament.
So it's not, Derrick was a Hall of Fame talent before he got hurt. So it's not fair to compare Coby to Derrick because not a lot of guys are Derrick. I'm strictly talking about other guys too, that if they're struggling through the game or they're pacing themselves throughout the game, they've got another gear they can hit. When I watch Coby, it's more about him making and missing shots than him changing his game. He's taking the same shots in the first and the second half, or like in the first 5 minutes is taken in the last 5 minutes. There's no change or variance to his game and him understanding. So it's hard for me to sink my teeth, and it sounds weird. I don't want to sound like Hannibal, but it's hard for me to sink my teeth into a player. I don't want anybody like freaking out like, oh, these dudes are really strange. It's hard for me to really sink my teeth into a player that has so much variance to what he needs to be and what he is with the measurables and the lack of explosiveness. I cannot project him. I don't understand. Not that I don't understand. I don't know what he is other than an up-tempo transition point guard right now who can catch and shoot, who has a nice
Then
little
I'll
step
ask you
back.
this, Joe. I'll ask you this, just straight up. Is he the long-term answer at point guard?
If he, all right.
I know it's early. I know it's early to ask.
I don't want to put a yes or no. I don't want to put a yes or no answer on it. What I will say is this: if he does not get a tighter handle, if he doesn't add some nuance to his ability as a point guard, and I'm not just talking a little bit, he needs to really, really improve in that area, and his vision and all that. No, I think he's more of like a weapon off the bench that can score. His value,
that's why I think why we were so frustrated with this pick at 7. Culver literally almost fell into your lap.
Yep.
Which his upside and his drive and just where he came from and how far like his potential has grown. From the player that he was when he went to Texas Tech to where he was before he got drafted. I mean, the growth was immense, and I think that's what excited a lot of players. I put a poll up on Twitter, a day or so before the draft, and Jarrett Culver was the number one player in that vote. I had Coby White.
Reddish was number 2. Reddish was number 2. Coby was number 3 in your poll.
Yeah,
which is interesting. So, because Sam Smith said
there's a lot of Bulls fans out there that I've spoken with in the past 3-4 days that are really high on this pick. Maybe it's that they're talking themselves into it, and I mean what's done is done, and they just have to accept it. But I'm this is where I'm at. I'm frustrated when the Bulls front office just can't ante up and put their chips in to make a move for a player that they love. They sat back on their hands and they didn't make anything happen. And that's where I'm frustrated. If this pick, pans out, so be it. I was wrong. I'll be the first one to say I'm wrong.
Play it back. We'll play it back. We'll play it back. I'm not scared to be wrong, and Tim's not scared to be wrong either. We don't want to be wrong. But we're also not going to sit there and talk ourselves into a pick. Like, I think we need to be fair. I think it's not about like ego here, all right? It's not about us protecting like our evaluations or anything like that. It's strictly looking at a guy and being like, yo, I've got some real concerns about how he's going to develop as a point guard.
And even more, Joe, the fit.
Yeah.
If and then there was like, some tweet from Casey Johnson afterwards too that, that I think Gar or Pax said something along the lines of, Kris Dunn he's not in the past. He's still on this team and he's still going to be, a major role player. But that doesn't make sense. If you draft Coby White, he needs to be the starting point guard. Or right. if you want to go else, if you want to play, Dunn and White, that's not going to work. You need Reddish. Draft a wing. You can never have enough wings in the NBA.
They're counting on Denzel Valentine, who's just coming off an injury and really didn't show anything that special when he did play.
And Hutch.
I like Hutch. I think Hutch can be a nice little rotation player. I'm not sure he's a starting wing until he shows that he can develop a shot. You're counting on 2 dudes who have not proven themselves behind Otto Porter. You have no wing depth at all.
And then again, Joe, if you're gonna improve these young players like Lauri, like Wendell Carter, you need a veteran point guard. Kris Dunn does not know how to run the offense.
Here's my thing with Dunn, dude, and I really hope Pax was doing GM speak on that. I hope it was more, we still like him to keep, how GMs do, like they'll pump up a guy's value, like what the Cardinals did with Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen's still our guy, blah, 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 when everybody knew that they were probably taking Kyler Murray and they were trading him. Maybe that's what this is. But then Cowley comes out with a report shortly last night, or maybe it was afternoon, and says, no, this is actually true. They still like Kris Dunn. They have no plans to move him. And again, you can love or hate Joe Cowley. on his evaluations or whatever. Normally, when he gets some information, you should probably listen to it because it's not coming as as like a PR message from the team. He got somebody to speak on the record.
Maybe Casey Johnson, sure. Not Kawhi.
No, Casey's a great guy. I'm not here to say Casey's a mouthpiece, all right?
Of course,
I'm
of course
not
not.
here to say that. But Joe Cowley is definitely a guy who's more of a pit bull and a bulldog with the Bulls and is willing to challenge them. So when he's telling you something, that's not something the organization really either wanted to get out or made sure that got out. Mm-hmm. So, and he has a pretty good track record. He predicted Noah's injury or talked about Noah's injury. The dang spinal tap almost killed him. He had Kris Dunn not working hard before the season.
That's what I was gonna say too. Yeah.
So your ears should perk up on that. Now maybe it changes because here's my other thing about the Dunn thing, and I don't know. Do you want to move on from Coby White? Do you think we've talked enough about Coby? Do you want to move on?
Yeah, we can move on. Yeah.
Cool. So on this Kris Dunn stuff, Archie Diacono outplayed him last year. So if you're going to have Coby compete with somebody,
shit.
If you're going to have Coby compete with somebody, it should be the guy who outplayed Kris Dunn last year. Kris Dunn should be fighting for a fucking roster spot. Pardon my French. I liked Kris Dunn a lot. I thought he was at least a rotational guy, maybe like a P-Bev, Avery Bradley dude who can get up on you and defend.
Like where's the kid from Providence?
Where is he?
He doesn't look like that anymore.
No. Where's the confidence? Where's the the FU attitude that gets up in your face? I want that guy back. Where the hell is he? So what you said in the press conference is we're going to reward mediocre play and allow him a chance to start with our number one pick. Instead of, let's reward the kid who may not be a starter in this league. Archie may not even be a rotational player in this league. But instead of rewarding the kid who outplayed the other guy, let's reward Kris Dunn for his mediocre play. No, what you do is you put Kris Dunn's back up against the wall and see if he's willing to step up his game and fight. That's what you do. That pissed me off. If it's true, all right? If it's anything other than PAX trying to keep Dunn's trade value up. Now, maybe that is. I have no idea.
If we're going to be completely fair and honest right now, Walt Lemon Jr. outplayed Kris Dunn last year.
Shaq Harrison outplayed Kris Dunn last year. Antonio Blakeney ran the offense better than Antonio Blakeney. Antonio Blakeney actually did run the offense better than Antonio Blakeney. But Antonio Blakeney ran the offense better than Kris Dunn, and he doesn't pass.
Agreed. At some points last year, it was like Kris Dunn got into his own head way too much, and like he just shut down mentally. It's like he didn't want to take shots on the perimeter when he was wide open. At that point, you're a liability to the offense.
Yeah, and he had that Spurs game when he first came back when he closed them. And I was like, oh, man, all right, Kris, let's go, dude. All right. Yeah. And then he had the Miami game. I think he did some of the same thing. After that, though, he was turning the ball over. He wasn't making good decisions. His field goal percentage was, I think, actually, I remember if it increased or decreased. I don't have the stats in front of me. But just his overall just demeanor on the court, you're right. Where is that dog? I mean, one of the reasons I really like Kris Dunn coming out, he was a little older, but that dude went at you. He took every game as a challenge, every matchup as a challenge. Where's that guy? I saw that guy 2 years ago with the Bulls. Where did he go this year? So Cowley's report before the season that he wasn't working on his game, it makes me believe that was true. And then Dunn after the season said, yeah, I didn't necessarily, something along the lines of I didn't necessarily prepare myself for the role or something like that. You're not granted, you should never do it, but you're not even an all-star. You're not even a marquee player. You had two pretty freaking bad, or one bad season, right? With Tibbs, or two?
One. Yeah, but I mean, he barely got any run that year. However, his second year, with the Bulls when they acquired him, in that Jimmy Butler trade, he averaged 13.4 points a game. He had 6 assists, 2 steals. I mean, it sounds decent, right? But then he's shooting 32% from 3, and he's shooting 43% from the field. All of those numbers pretty much dropped
How many turnovers did he average?
And that's another one. He had 3 turnovers in 17-18, his second season. And I mean, but we can't even go off that because he doesn't always have the ball in his hands.
Which is a problem.
He's playing off ball a lot of the times.
And you're still turning the ball over 3 times a game.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's somewhat acceptable for a guy who's got like 9 assists a game and is like has a handle on the offense. And
yeah, he's a primary ball handler.
Yeah. But Kris Dunn's not that, and he's also turning the ball over, and he's making bad decisions, and he's not making the right reads. He's playing selfish. He's hesitant on shots. He's not finishing around the rim. I want Providence Kris Dunn back because Providence Kris Dunn, I think, could actually push Coby White. But you should not. Maybe, again, you're trying to give Kris a vote of confidence to the media. I really hope that's what it is. Tim and I are not jumping on Pax for saying, like, we're going to keep him if it's not true. If it is true that Coby White is going to compete against Kris Dunn, one, why did you pick White? I really want to know that. 2, why doesn't Archie Diacono, why isn't he in there? It should be a 3-guy race then. If Dunn's going to get a shot, then Archie should get a shot. Because Archie Diacono is going to be back with the team this year, as far as I know.
Another thing to be concerned about, he's only played 98 games in the last 2 seasons. I mean, he needs to be – I mean, the best trait is to be available, for your team. When you can only – I mean, if that's the case, why not sign Derrick Rose? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm a huge Rose fan, obviously, but 98 games, I mean, it's not – that's your point guard needs to play 65, 70 plus.
Yeah, if that's the case, I know you don't like Lonzo, but you should just trade it for Lonzo because Lonzo's played like 80-ish or 90-ish games over the past year.
Same type of deal. Yeah. And I mean, everything from Lonzo to Kris Dunn stacks up pretty well stat-wise. Obviously Lonzo's a better passer than Kris Dunn. He's around the same 3-point percentage. However,
he's a better fit with LaVine too. Kris Dunn and Zach LaVine don't play well together.
No,
our Pax
at
honestly, if Pax is truthful about keeping Kris Dunn and having him battle, let's say hypothetically Kris Dunn beats out Coby White. 1, that doesn't look good for Coby in my opinion. I really don't think that looks good. And 2, even if Kris Dunn's good, that doesn't look good for Coby White. And 2, Zach LaVine and Kris Dunn aren't good together. Their numbers, I believe, are in the red. They're negative when they play together. They are not a good fit. So you and I are much more eye test guys and analytics. Like, I don't dismiss analytics, but I'm much more what I see in the court. I also pay attention when your numbers are that bad together, something's going on. That you guys don't mesh well together.
Stylistically, they don't match. Yeah.
George from our Bulls chat, put together a cool thread last night. Lauri, Otto, and LaVine were like a +4 together on the court when they played. That's really good. Like their on and off court ratings or things like that. All 3 of those guys are positive. Those are good trends to have, right? Dunn's a negative. He's a negative, and he's a negative with Zach LaVine. No. Yeah. Dunn needs to be a bench guy. He is not your starter. No shot. Not with Zach out there. Like, I don't want him anywhere near playing with Zach because
maybe that gives, Dunn an opportunity to build some confidence too.
He could be a good bench guy. Like, if he would accept that role, he's not a starting point guard. He's not. Unless he
as of right now
involves his game.
Absolutely not.
Maybe he'll prove us wrong, but as of right now, he's 24, right? He's coming up on 25. He's the same age as Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine feels like he's been in the league for like 8 years. Zach's only 24 years old.
He's 25 already.
Zach LaVine was drafted with Doug McDermott in the same draft. And LaVine's only 24, and he's still ascending. Dunn's not an ascending player anymore. He's pretty much peaked. Now, can you find consistency with your role? Your role should be a dog defensively, attack the rim, find ways that you can help get steals, find ways to play to your strengths to help your team. That's what your focus should be right now, because you're not going to be a knockdown 3-point shooter at this stage, I don't think, unless you shock us all. And cut down on the turnovers. Protect the ball,
Joe.
Man.
I think we've harped enough on Kris Dunn.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Kris, man. If you're listening to this, it's nothing personal, buddy. It's just, please, make an impact this year, dude, because I still believe that you could be something, but man, you gotta bring it this year. And
so let me ask you a question, Joe.
Shoot.
Kind of going back to like what I said earlier, with you need a veteran point guard, to help these young kids grow, like Lauri and Wendell. Where do you go in free agency if that's an option?
The two names that come to mind are Beverly and Rubio off the bat, right?
Yeah.
For different reasons. Beverly's, that culture, setter, that tone setter. He's 30 years old. I think Bev's going to get like 14 to 15 million a year, though. Like they're talking about him as a tier 1 guy, or maybe top tier 2. Usually those dudes don't settle for 5 or 6 million a year. He's looking to get paid because this is likely his last contract. So I would target Rubio. I would. I
don't mean to cut you off, Joe. And I think Patrick Beverly already has like a meeting set up with Dallas too, along with Horford. So maybe they're making a push for all these free agents. I don't know.
I would balk on Beverly at that price. He's too old. Like he's a guy that comes off. He's not a starting point guard. He's a guy that comes off of your bench and sets the tone defensively. 15 million for that. Bobby Marks had a report before the draft on Thursday that the Bulls were rumored to be building or gearing up for a 4-year, $80 million contract offer sheet to Malcolm Brogdon. I saw that. And then they picked Coby White. So Bobby Marks is a really good source. Like he's pretty plugged in, right? Like, why would he say something like, so are they planning to make a run at Brogdon still? Because if they plan on making a run at Brogdon still,
you would think Dunn's gone then.
Why did you take Coby White? That is a misuse of assets and value. You should have traded down. You should have taken a higher upside wing. You could have gone after, you and I both like Rui. There are other options there. So I don't understand why you would draft a point guard high, or a guard that you envision to be a point guard, if you envision him being the point guard, and then make an $80 million offer sheet, unless you're trying to tie up like the Bucks' money, but you're tying up your own money because they could wait 6 to 7 days to match it. So
yeah.
Maybe Bobby got bad info, but there's that, and then there's Rubio, and I think both of us are on the same page.
One thing I'll tell you, if the Bucks don't match that offer for Brogdon, whoever gives them an offer, they're in trouble, because Brook Lopez I think he's an unrestricted free agent, and I think Middleton is a restricted free agent, right? If all three of those guys walk, Giannis is going to be pissed. And he's going to be the next one walking out the door.
Yeah, they probably won't. I think the reason why they got rid of Ilyasova was to try to clear up some room. Well, that's why they dangled that number 30 pick and Ilyasova, or they didn't get rid of they got rid of Snell. The reason why they dangled Snell and Ilyasova for that 30 pick was to clear up space so they could have more room to bring back a guy like Brook. So I think that's
traded that pick away too.
Yep.
They drafted Kevin Porter Jr., which we were both high on.
Yep.
And then they traded him actually to Detroit. So
Cleveland.
No, Detroit got him. I think he's with Detroit.
Porter? No, I think. All right. We're gonna bet drinks on this. Let's see. Is Tim right or is Joe right? We're gonna play that game real quick, just for fun. Let's see. No, Cavs. Cavs paid league record for number 30 pick.
Okay.
So the Cavs actually had the draft that I wanted the Bulls to have. They got Garland and they got Porter.
Yeah.
So we won't go into that though, but I
mean he's gonna be interesting.
He's a boomer or bust, man.
Porter, they already have, so many people that want to get theirs already, like Sexton. Kevin Love needs his shots. Kevin Porter is just a joker, just a wild card. And we'll see where he goes.
He's like an Uno, man. You've got that draw 4 wild card. He may be that, or he may be a 2. He could be like he could be a royal flush, or he could be what's the worst, like flop in poker, 2-7. Like he could offsuit, like he could be that. So I love the kid. I loved his game, but I also understood some of the character concerns about him. Yeah, I think
I don't mean to interrupt you again. So I did not think he was going to fall to 30.
No, so those character concerns must be like really, really bad. But nobody said anything. Like there weren't like public. So they must have been a lot worse than him just yelling at his coach. Like, is there something else there?
to fall to 44?
Yeah. So
Insane.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, point guard wise, man, like you asked me what they should do. I think Rubio should be a target, but Rubio's coming off. I think he just made either 13 or 14 mil average on a 4-year deal. So he's probably hunting for something similar. He's 28, 29 still. He's probably looking to get paid. He's in that next tier after like D'Lo and Kyrie and Kemba is like the point guards. He's in that next tier that
Yeah,
fall.
a few tiers, I would say,
Yeah.
behind those guys.
But he's probably still going to make money. And so if you bring in a man, here's my question to you. I'm going to pose a question to you because some people disagree with me on this. If you sign Rubio, if you're the Bulls, is he starting or is White starting?
To be honest, I'm a type of dude that thinks that if you draft someone in the first round, you need to learn on the clock, unless you're like mentally soft. And John Paxson, he absolutely refuses to draft anyone mentally soft. So Coby White needs to play day one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And he's not. Here's the other thing too: is people are like, well, what happened with some of these other point guards, and I've seen some comparisons to like speed wise with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is a lot better prospect than Coby White. Let's just get that straight. De'Aaron Fox is a star. He's got length, he's got speed, he's got shape.
Dude's a stud.
They're just not even close. Coby might be a solid player eventually. He might be a good player. Like De'Aaron Fox, he jumps off the screen at you, and he took over the NCAA tournament for Kentucky too. So his game.
Not to mention, he plays above the rim like a monster.
Dude, he's like a pterodactyl too. His length, he's 6'3" with like a 6'7", 6'8" wingspan. Yeah. So they're not comparable.
His three improved from his first year. He was the real deal.
You, me, and a couple other dudes went to the Bulls Kings game this year at the UC. That was the first game that Boylan coached, and we watched him, and he did nothing for the first half. And all of a sudden, out of freaking nowhere, he dropped 30 on the Bulls in the second and erased like a 15-point deficit. And I was like, oh my God, that dude is a bona fide superstar eventually. So this idea that De'Aaron Fox was ruined in Sacramento by playing this first year, obviously not, because his game got a hell of a lot better. Plus, on top of that, Kobe's in a lot more advantageous situation. Now, you can dislike or like Boylan, whatever you want, but Chris Fleming is a hell of an offensive coach. He's going to have weapons around him in the starting five. He's not going to be hung out to dry. He's going to play in an up-tempo system with shooters all the way around him. You're not just throwing the guy out there and being like, oh, yeah, here's the ball, go. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. Sink or swim time for you, Coby. I think you've got to see if you can do it. You want these guys to grow better.
I want to pose a question. Agreed. I want to pose a question. Next year, do you think Coby White can shoot better than 40% from the field? Hold on. 31% better from three. And average more than 13 points a game.
I think he's capable, yeah.
Because that's what Rubio averaged last year.
And people will say, here's the devil's advocate.
And that dude's I think he's gonna command like $13 million a year on those.
Yeah. So devil's advocate is like he's a better passer, he's a better facilitator, he reads the floor better. He's I think they're both kind of the same height, right? But he's kind of a better defender at this stage. So he's got a little bit more nuance to his game.
Agreed. But I mean, if you're going to be playing with Zach LaVine next year, if you're Ricky Rubio, right? It's pretty similar to playing with Donovan Mitchell. He commands the ball a lot, right?
Right.
I refuse to pay. Okay, it's none of my money, okay? The Bulls can do whatever the fuck they want. Excuse my language. But I'm not.
Hey, dude, this is a family show, buddy. You can't be cussing here. Come on now.
Come on, it's not the Disney Network. So I'm not paying more than 13. I would even pay Rubio more than $10 million a year.
If he's a backup.
Agreed. You can find some veteran point guard that Coby White can learn under for less than that, honestly.
Yeah, so let's look up the point guards in the market, because honestly, like, I've been so wrapped up in the draft. I haven't really, besides the big name guys, like you've got, obviously Beverly. Let's go to Hoops Hype. Let's just go down the list here after the top guys. You've got, Rose isn't coming back. Kendall Gill, I guess, had a report that he's not coming back. Elfrid Payton. How about Elfrid Payton?
Hell no.
He wasn't that bad last year, though, and he'd be cheaper. They won't touch Darren. Darren Collison's a no.
I don't want. I don't want. I don't want. No, I don't want Peyton cutting into Coby White's minutes.
Hey, but their hair would match though. They'd have the best hair game. Oh no, he cut his hair. Shoot. Damn, they would have had the sickest hair game.
His hair, man, looked like it was throwing up gang signs. It was worse than the weekend. Man, that was bad.
So we've got Darren Collison, who they won't touch. Darren Collison, if you weren't aware, go ahead and Google it. He had a domestic violence or abuse case against him. He pled guilty to it. So that's a no-go from the Bulls. They won't touch somebody like that. Rondo, Isaiah Thomas, Ish Smith, maybe. TJ McConnell.
What's the possibility of Rondo coming back? I mean, he yeah, true, with the front office. But I mean, he played a crucial role with some of the young players, a few years back. And he was kind of in the young players' corner while, Wade and Jimmy were having their weird romantic.
What about McConnell? If you're looking at a bench guy, McConnell's unrestricted. He's going to be cheap. He's not very flashy. But when I watched him play for Philadelphia, he was always making the right play. He was hitting some big shots. He's not by any means a special player, but he's probably not going to cost you a lot. Not near as much as Ricky Rubio.
He's a Pax guy. I think he fits the profile of a Pax guy.
But he's probably going to cost half as much as Rubio, unless for some reason the market just jumps on these point guards and he's going to make close to 10 mil. Then I'd balk at that. But somebody like Ish Smith, he's unrestricted. Rondo's unrestricted.
Ish Smith's a similar player to Coby White.
Dude, Terry Rozier is restricted. I think the Boston's probably bringing him back. If they lose Kyrie, dude, do you let Terry Rozier go? I know you're not a big fan of him, but that's somebody that I think the Bulls will probably have an eye on because he's got that Pax, that road dog.
He's got that winning pedigree.
Yeah. And he plays hard.
He's uber competitive.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a Bulls guy.
I like him as a player.
I don't think it's fair to look at his numbers last year because I think Kyrie impacted Jason Tatum. I think he impacted Jaylen Brown. I think he impacted Rozier. Horford's the vet, so I don't think he impacted his game too much. But Kyrie caused a lot of problems on that Boston team. And I don't think it's Terry Rozier 2 years ago was pretty good, and he hit some big freaking shots in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind. I don't know if necessarily you want Coby White learning from him, because he's not really like a point guard. Point guard, he's a scorer, right?
And that's why I'd rule that out.
But
I what's interesting to me, I don't understand why the Nets are pursuing Kyrie. So, I mean, I get it. He's top 4 point guard in the league, and he can make you a lot better. But from what you saw in Boston last year,
he's a cancer, bro. He's a cancer.
Young guy, I didn't want to say it.
I'll say it for you, buddy. He's a cancer.
He was a cancer to the young guys, man. And why was Brooklyn so good last year? Their young guys played with heart.
Yep.
That just goes out the window if you sign them this year.
There's that report though that Durant's considering now the Nets, and the Nets aren't going to bring in Kyrie unless Kyrie's bringing somebody with him. And
that's stupid.
KD's out next year anyway, so
KD's out next year. It's stupid if you don't sign Kyrie if he doesn't bring KD along. Look. If you can sign a top 4, top 5 point guard in the league,
would you keep D'Lo? Would you rather have Russell or would you rather have Kyrie to a max deal?
To right now, if I'm what team?
If you're the Nets, would you rather re-sign D'Lo to a max $27 million a year, or would you rather? I don't know what the hell Kyrie's going to get. I don't know what he can make. It'll be over 30, right? Because can he make the supermax? I'm terrible with cap numbers. I am. If you've ever watched The Office. When Michael Scott is being talked to by Toby in the office about something about HR related, and he goes, "Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?" This is me with the cap. I have cap guys. There's a guy named Ryan in our chat who I'm like, Ryan, can we do this? Okay, cool. Otherwise, dude, that stuff, I go nowhere near cap stuff. I'm terrible at it. Don't understand.
That's a difficult question.
I would take Russell, just FYI.
I think I would still take Kyrie, because he
has more allure and star power.
Single-handedly, he has more influence on a game than D'Lo.
At this stage, yeah.
Yeah.
But Kyrie
D'Lo's
also gets hurt a lot. Kyrie gets hurt a lot too.
True. D'Lo's going to be less expensive though. and he still, has room to grow.
He's also
So
he's part of your culture right now that you just made the playoffs with. He has a trust of the head coach. So if you're building something, to me, it doesn't necessarily make sense to move on from him when you've groomed and developed him into it. You can debate whether he should have been an all-star, but if Kyle Lowry was a freaking all-star, then D'Angelo Russell is without a doubt an all-star. Ooh, look at that.
ooh, wow. The
Yeah.
hand of God.
Yep. It's shining down on the Bulls, dude. Definitely shining down on the Bulls. No, I would take D'Lo for sure. And so if you're following along with us, both Tim and I are pretty ADD. So sometimes we forget our transition points. We're now on to NBA free agency a little bit and where that's going. Kawhi, Mark Stein, and Chris Haynes were just talking about how it seems like the Raptors are gaining momentum on re-signing him. Who knows? That could change tomorrow. But what do you think? Because Stein reported that maybe like a 2-year deal, a 1+1, where Kawhi has an option for that second year.
Kind of like a LeBron deal.
Sense. Yep, right? It kind of makes sense. I think it would make sense that he can still compete for a title, then revisit after next year, maybe get another ring, and then he can do this all over again. I would really like to see Kawhi stay in Toronto. I really would, to be honest. Like I know
they have a definite possibility to win the title again next year.
Yeah.
If they can re-sign everybody, or I'm sure Danny Green is going elsewhere, but with that core, there's no reason why they can't get back to the finals next year. No. Sign a 1-for-1. See where the chips fall. Maybe KD will do the same thing. I don't know. Maybe he'll get healthy, or maybe I've heard there's talks of him signing a 5-year deal with Golden State, him rehabbing there, and at the end of the year, maybe them visiting like a trade via somewhere else, But if I'm Kyrie, I resign. What do you think?
I would too if I was Kawhi. But I'm not like
the West is gonna be.
But the pull to go home. He's from Southern California. So I kind of get that end. I think it's really cool, though, that it went from him not even wanting to go to Toronto. Like, almost, there were reports that he might even not even show up, right, once that trade went down, to them winning him over. That fan base, beside that whole Kevin Durant stuff, that was really bad. It seems like most of the fans are passionate and really good people. So, and they've got an energetic fan base that just won a title. So it seems like the organization and the fans and the culture and Nick Nurse, they all kind of won him over. And if the Clippers should be worried right now, I think. The team that's gaining momentum on him is the team he just played for. So what we thought the Clippers had in the bag, I don't know if I thought it was like 90-10 at the end of the year. I think we're looking at, I hate to do percentages, but 70-30, maybe 60-40. They're closing the gap on him, and especially with that 1+1, I think that he could sit there and be like, okay, yeah, let me try it out one more year, and maybe I'll opt into the second year, or maybe then at that point in 2020, I'll just go and we'll go our separate ways, like Journey. But I can start singing if you really want me to.
No, I'm good, man. I'll pass.
No, I hope he resigns with Toronto. My prediction, though, is I think they'll lure to Southern California in a max deal. I think he'll take the money and the guaranteed. That's what I think he'll do.
So you think he goes to the Clippers?
Yeah, I think he'll sign a full max deal with him and take the money. I think that's just me. I'm bad with predictions, dude. I'm mush. So from the Bronx Tale, right? You always tell me who should I bet
guys, on. So if anyone's listening right now, Joe said he's going to the Clippers. So if there's any type of odds on any gambling website,
take Toronto.
Yeah, take Toronto.
Although I did predict Coby White on our 3 Alphas podcast on Monday because I didn't want it to happen.
You're good with Bulls predictions. Like I think you're like 97-0. With like the Marcus Pfizers and.
But I picked Coby White because I didn't want it to happen, and it ended up happening. So that's where I think I did a reverse psychology on myself, and it ended up kicking me in the ass. So no, I think he's going to go to Southern Cal. So, again, if your bettors out there, lay money down on Toronto or another team. That's probably what you should do. But if I'm right, don't come back and yell at me.
Yeah, right.
I gave you the, what do you call it? The disclaimer that I'm really bad with predictions. So, what do you think happens with Durant? And so kind of some of I think Clay resigns right with Golden State. That's almost for sure. They're going to give him a max deal.
Yeah.
So what is the upside of? Okay, walk me through this Durant stuff. If he accepts the 4 or 5 year max deal from the Warriors, he rehabs and they trade him. What's the upside?
I think well, I mean, you still get equity back. That's.
Yeah. Does he really want out that bad? I mean, is it that bad?
I don't know, man. I don't know him. I don't know his sources or anything like that, or his people around him. But if Golden State can sign into a 5-year deal, right? Be in his corner, help him rehab, let them know that they care about him and he's a crucial piece to their success. I think that's what they're banking on. Just kind of winning them over with their support. And if not, so be it. They can still trade him and get something back.
Yeah, he's still.
I mean, if you let him walk, if you let one of the top 2 players in the league to walk, and you get nothing back for him,
it's a smart play by Golden State. You either keep him or you get something back for him, and then you offer him a full max, so he's got guaranteed money. He doesn't have to worry about rehabbing and then coming back on like a 1-year deal and not being ready to go or like losing his game. He's got money in the bank, so he's got nothing to lose now. You know what? Shoot, if my Achilles is that bad and I don't rehab that well and I lose part of my game, I'm getting paid like a max player. So they're offering him the security and the support. I think they know how to run an organization, man. God, that organization's good. Like Bob Myers and Steve Kerr and how they operate and everything like that. They know what the hell they're doing. They really do. And just a move like this, to think like that.
Question: do you think Bob Myers it was a PR play by Bob Myers to go to the podium after that game and cry on the stand, or do you think that was legit emotion?
Everything I've heard about. So one of my best friends at work, Joaquin, at NBC, he's a Warriors fan. Like everything I've heard from Joaquin about this guy is he's genuine, that he actually cares. I don't think that was an act. I think that's just who he is. Now, was there an element of PR to it? Could possibly be.
Yeah.
Because
I always think about that too.
Like when Bruce Pearl cried after Okiki went down in the Elite Eight of the Sweet 16. I thought those were crocodile tears. Because I think Bruce Pearl is an absolute piece of crap. If I'm an Illini fan, so I'm still one of those scoring guys who remembers his day from Iowa. And
Bruce Pearl's a goat. He's a goat.
Yeah, he is a goat. He eats trash.
No, but even when Steve Kerr was saying like, I've never seen anyone play this well in a stretch in the postseason. Obviously, he played with the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan. So like those type of things, they're little, but Kevin Durant has been known to,
Kevin Durant was playing
be a little soft, and he wants to hear good things about himself. So I don't know, man. If I was to put money down right now, I think it goes back to Golden State.
Always be recruiting, right? That's the whole thing. Always be selling. Like these guys are salesmen too. You run a business.
Always be closing. ABC,
right? Coffees for Closers. That's a great movie.
Yeah, that's great.
I think there might have been an element. I'm not saying Steve Kerr or Bob Myers are bad guys, but PR is still the name of the game, and your image and how you maintain that. Obviously the Bulls don't have a really good image with players around the league. They haven't. It's no secret to anybody. I'm not bashing the organization here. I'm just being truthful. For whatever reason, we won't get into it, but for whatever reason, just they don't have a good image around the league with agents, with players, or whatever. Golden State, they are the beacon of like what players like about an organization, what agents like about an organization. You can either love it or hate it. They're either doing really well playing the game or they're really genuine, and that comes off to people. So, it works. It works. And they helped Boogie. They got him. Boogie's probably gone, right? I'm really curious to see, like...
I don't know, man. I don't know if Boogie leaves.
What do you think he's, like... that injury kind of screwed him. He didn't fit well, but then he played well at times in the playoffs for him. And I was really impressed with DeMarcus, man. He's never been a dude who gets like the grimy stuff. He's always been kind of a finesse player that wants to get his points. He was doing the dirty work on the glass. He was getting tough buckets.
Man, he was mixing it up.
That's what you want to see, dude. So he grew a lot last year. I just think that DeMarcus has always been kind of immature. He just didn't know how to channel. Like you and I watched that Iverson documentary on draft night, and when Iverson really wanted to win, he just had no idea how to channel that, and he finally learned. Maybe DeMarcus is kind of like that. He's just was always a little bit immature about some things, was kind of hard-headed and stubborn, but then the light finally popped on and was like, oh, okay, well, here's what I actually need to do. And it took him getting into an organization and a culture that preaches winning to be unselfish for it finally to rub off on DeMarcus because, dude, he could have been that leg. He's a warrior, literally and figuratively, for what he did. He could barely freaking move, and he was still being productive out there. Kevon Looney was playing with a broken collarbone and was deemed productive out there.
You got to commend those guys, man.
That's why
they literally left it all on the court.
Dude, Klay was playing with a messed up hamstring, tore his ACL. Durant, for anybody, like we talked about on our last show, for anybody who doubted Durant, that dude was literally, his leg was messed up. Like that Golden State team was put together with duct tape.
And how about Klay, man? Klay literally tore his ACL, and he was sprinting in the back.
That quote
he was making runs back and forth. And what did he say to Kerr?
He said, basically told Steve Kerr, just give me a couple minutes, I'll be ready. On a torn ACL. I mean, granted, the adrenaline's pumping so high, and he may not have wrecked his knee as bad. I don't know what he tore. I'm not a doctor. So maybe it wasn't like a complete shredding, and there was no other damage within the knee, so he could do that. But yeah, I thought he was coming back. I was like, oh, he's going to hit the free throws, go back to the training table, and he'll be okay. And then you see him like walking out on the crutches, and it's like, oh, nope, Klay's definitely not okay. And he's got a torn ACL. So, but you commend anybody who thinks that the Warriors are soft or anything like that. That team went through a lot of crap, pushed Toronto to the brink. And, if Steph hits that three, I think they lose in 7. But still, the fact that you took that team to 7 with a roster full of dudes hurting, I commend. Like, you can hate on Golden State all you want, man. They didn't back down. They didn't lay down.
And man, how about that tweet from Kyle Kuzma after the game?
It's context. I went at Kuzma on Twitter and I quote tweeted him. I think he meant not the injuries, but Kawhi winning. So I think that it's still poor taste, but it was different context. I still don't like it.
And for the listeners, what was the quote?
The quote was like, "This is karma." After the game, this is karma for Zaza Pachulia injuring Kawhi 2 years ago in the first round of the playoffs. If anybody remembers that, Zaza, like Kawhi had a messed up ankle. Zaza like put his foot underneath Kawhi, like on a jumper.
Landing.
Yep, and Kawhi turned his ankle and Kawhi was out for the playoffs. So that's kind of how that entire relationship with the Spurs and Kawhi deteriorated, was based off that injury. But like, that's not karma for anything. Like, it's better that he said Kawhi winning than I thought he was talking about Klay's injury or Durant's injury was karma. I was like, at first I was like reacting. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? That's a real shit thing to say, Durant wasn't there. Klay had nothing to do with it. But even so, that's not karma for anything. Like, what? Like, I like Kyle. Maybe he was just in a moment of emotion or whatever. Dude, take that tweet down and apologize for it. Like, that's poor taste, bro. Like, because the reason why Toronto won, a big reason why, is because 2 of Golden State's best players went down. So that's not.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if Durant's there, if Klay's there and he's healthy, DeMarcus, Golden State wins easily.
In 5.
Yeah, they win easily.
So
no disrespect to the Raptors. Yeah. They played lights out, and we shouldn't take any credit away from them. But they still got their ass kicked.
they got pushed to the brink by basically Steph, Draymond, Boogie on one leg, Quinn freaking Cook, and there was that other guard that didn't really do anything. But that was basically in Bogut, old ass Bogut.
Yeah.
And then Durant for a quarter, and then Klay on his hobbled leg, They still got pushed to the brink.
Sean Livingston, which is
Sean
going to retire because he's running on fumes.
Iguodala, who again looked washed. The craziest thing to me, going back to the finals, was it wasn't Steph or Draymond were the best players in the fourth quarter in Game 6. It was Boogie and his messed up quad. It was Livingston and the guy that's going to retire after the end of the year, and it was Iguodala had like 20 points. Those were the dudes who were carrying. Not where the hell was Steph, man? Like you want to talk about. Here's the thing. You can say Steph's the greatest shooter of all time. I'm not going to disagree with you. But any argument that dude is the best point guard of all time, no, you're not there with me yet. Where's his final signature moment? At least Magic has the skyhook against the Celtics. Where is Steph's signature moment in the finals? All I keep remembering is...
I remember him throwing his mouthpiece at the fan.
Yeah, he had, I guess... yeah, I remember that too. It happened to be Dan Gilbert's son, I think, was chirping him. I think that was...
then I love it. I love it. That's a great finals moment then.
I mean, a signature moment for Steph was getting his ass, blocked by LeBron in that game 6. But Steph has moments. He's now 0 for 8, under 20 seconds with the game on the line. 0 for 8.
Yeah, I mean, if you extend that and with shots within the last minute or something, it dramatically goes up.
Right. So I'm not going to trash that. I'm just saying, you got to hit the shot. Force Game 7, dude. And if you lose in Game 7, but that was a shot you got to make. Yeah. Especially because you didn't even show up in the fourth quarter. It was your teammates carrying your ass. Guys who were playing on one leg, and guys. And I
like Steph. He's a likable dude.
He's okay.
I like
Klay.
But you got to make those shots, man.
Klay hits that shot, I think. Klay's healthy. That's Game 7 right there. I mean, that dude was absolutely freaking. And that's what was sad too about Klay going down was he was on. That was Game 6 Klay. That was like OKC Klay when he just was on Klay Station. Just could not. That transition 3.
I like that. I've never heard that before. Klay Station.
You never heard Klay Station? Yeah, I saw it on Twitter one time. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. But that 3 he hit from 40 feet out, where it was the no shot, just unconscious, and then he got hurt right after that. But I was like, oh my God, this dude's going for 50. This dude is just absolutely in the freaking zone. But
it's like Ben Gordon and the Bulls back in the day for us. That's the closest thing that we've had. No. Okay.
Yeah, it was
he throws up a crazy shot.
Yeah, it was like the shot against Boston. And what game was that? Game 6? You were there for that game when he hit that.
Game 5, I think. Game 5.
Game 5 when he hit that
Triple
shot.
Overtime. Yeah.
Yep. Then he grabbed onto his nuts in front of KG. That was sick, dude. But here's my thing with Klay, and I think this is what separates a guy like LeBron. LeBron can literally put a team on his back for 4 or 5 games, a duct tape ass roster, and keep him competitive. Steph did it for 1 game, and then looked worn out. Worn out, dude. You had 2 days in between games. You swept Portland in the series before that. I don't want to hear tired. What do you mean tired? I don't say Steph's soft, but
this is where I have to disagree with you for a little bit.
All right, go.
I'm disagreeing with you here because the amount of work that Steph has to put in when he's literally carrying that team, there's no other scoring options. He's running around screens every single possession. He doesn't get at the ball a lot, sometimes when he's running from the top of the key all the way down around the basket, around the screen, one of those big curl hooks. Doesn't get the ball. He has to run all the way around again. This dude literally puts a lot of work. I mean, his cardio has to be amazing. And that takes a lot out of you from a player.
All right, that's fair. It's fair.
It's not Kawhi had, you could argue that Kawhi didn't have a lot of help either. But Van Fleet came up with some amazing shots.
Yeah, neither Steph or Kawhi played well in that Game 6.
Yeah.
It was the role players who actually really stepped up. And then Kyle Lowry, pulling the game out of his ass.
Because when Steph is on a heater, he can easily drop 50 on you. Just his uncanny ability to, kind of split a defender or with a step back 3 on 2 players. It's just We've never seen anything like that, and that's why I
Okay.
have to give Steph a lot of respect.
Okay. My counter to that is, all right, I know how much work you have to do, but at some point you got to find a way to make a play. That he didn't box out off a missed rebound in game 6 late in the game. He allowed Toronto to get an offensive rebound. Like you've got to find a way. Like it's easy for me here to sit at my computer doing a show and saying, "Yo, you've got to find a way." But that's what separates. Like I think when LeBron's on, that dude will find a way. He does something, a block or a steal or gets, locks in. When that dude's on, he's on. Or Durant or somebody.
Joe, but to be fair, Steph Curry is 6'2" and a half,
No,
and he's 190 pounds when he's soaking wet. So you're talking about LeBron, which is 6'10", 260.
It's
that
fair.
dude's
Okay, that's fair.
a monster. He's a robot.
Okay, that's fair. But Boogie was doing stuff. Kayvon Looney was doing stuff. Those dudes couldn't even move. Like you're telling me, I know he's small, but get grimy. Do something other than shoot. Like in the fourth quarter, when your team needed you the most, you and Draymond were nowhere to be found except for Draymond's one shot. You were nowhere. It was Andre Iguodala, how old is Andre now? 35? It was Sean Livingston, who's going to retire. It was Kayvon Looney. It was Boogie Cousins on one leg. Like, dude, you have to find a way. Find a way to impact it. I know you're small, but get a steal. Be disruptive. Do something. It's just like, you can't.
Andre's going to be 36 next season.
36, dude. Yeah, they're bigger guys. I get it. Like, he's a smaller frame, but then find some sort of way to do something to help your team.
You're right.
You were completely invisible in the fourth, bro.
I mean, Steph, he probably was worn out and he was running on fumes because he had to carry the load the entire series, besides the few games that Clay played. But that's the times we have to dig deep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Like, I'm waiting for Steph's signature moment in the finals, I think. He had that 45-point game or whatever when they lost in game 4 when he had nobody. And then he hit the 2 threes, right? In game, in game 5, he hit the 2 threes. So those were those, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that he has never, stepped up in the finals. But when your team needed you, dude, in the fourth quarter of game 6, it was just, again, it was like, come on, give me something. Give me anything.
I feel you. It's like last year or was it the year before, where KD just came down in transition and just dead eye just popped one in LeBron's eye. That three. Yep. Just was cold blooded. That's a signature finals moment. I like Steph. I think he works extremely hard, but you're right. He hasn't had a signature finals moment yet.
And just get grimy. Find a way to get, maybe that's not his game, but maybe you need to make it your game. It's why we get on Harden a lot, because he's soft in the defensive end. Get grimy, dude. It's not just an offensive league. Can you find a way to help your team outside of scoring and passing? I know you do a lot for your team, but on the other side, is there something you can do? Just anything, something small. That's kind of where I get at. Let's kind of get off Golden State and go to Bulls free agency. I know we kind of touched on point guards. What's your plan? If you were Pax right now, they have $23 million in space, I believe, as it sits. What are you doing? Like, what would your plan be?
This team, as it's constructed right now, we're not winning anything, are we? We're
not this year, no.
Of course not. I think you have to surround your young players with veterans. So I think you have to make some signings, that in an attempt to, bring your young players, forward, move, get them to mature a little bit, teach some savviness. I don't think you go out and you bring in somebody like a major piece to this team. I don't think that helps anywhere. Where are you at with it?
I'm kind of the same. I've just been locked in so much to the draft. Like, you're not going to see
Like who's out there? Who's out
Like,
there? What type of
they're
veterans?
not getting a top guy. They're not like the Kawhis, Durant's, the Kyries, Kembas, Jimmy, D'Angelo, Clay. They're off the table. Like even Middleton. I really don't see them
You
going
can't
after.
afford those guys with 22 million.
I mean, 20. They can free up 27. They can actually, if they
Okay.
really want, they could renounce. I forget that they could stretch Felicio and renounce rights to somebody. I forget how it works. They can make enough room to get 27 to sign
Oh, one
D'Angelo
max.
Russell if they wanted. Yeah, but it's not a full max. It's more like a D'Angelo Russell max.
Yeah.
I don't think like Julius Randle's on the table. That dude's gonna get paid.
Plus, we have no space for him. Where's he gonna
No.
play? It's a log jam up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're looking at kind of like the third tier guys. I think. I mean, would you look at somebody like JJ Redick? Would you look at somebody? I'm just kind of going through names. I should be more, read up on free agents right now than I am. Like D Rose isn't coming back, even though I wish he would. A name's been thrown around in our chat a lot by Dan Meehan is. I said a name that has been thrown around a lot by Dan in our chat is Rondé Hollis Jefferson, who was let go by the Nets.
Yep.
You can see a connection there. He can't shoot, but he's versatile. Like
He's a high energy guy. Yeah. Good size.
Maybe look at somebody like
Plays
him.
in the paint.
I think Alfred Payton wouldn't be too bad if he's cheap. Kelly Oubre, I think, is going to make way too much money. Like that dude, honestly, I thought his stats were better. When I looked up his stats, he's only shooting like 32 or 33% from three. So I like the upside, but the production isn't necessarily there. And I think he might command quite a bit. So maybe, but if he's willing to take less, he's not.
I don't think that's.
He
doesn't have the greatest. He doesn't have the greatest
attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not Paxer, but he's not really a Pax Bulls guy. Like Thomas Satoransky would be interesting. He's definitely like a Pax guy.
He's a solid backup point guard.
We're looking at Pax guys, right? Rodney Hood. I don't think Rodney Hood's a John Paxson guy, honestly.
No.
Maybe he is. I don't even know. But yeah, I don't. Marcus Morris, we've talked about. He's probably gonna get paid though. Corey Joseph. Would you go after Corey Joseph?
He's not a vet.
He's a backup point. He's a backup point. I forgot to mention him as like a backup point guard option. He's okay. Like he is going to be really cheap. He's experienced. He could probably run your offense. He can shoot a little bit. He's not terrible defensively. He's pretty solid. He can dish a little bit. Like he's a spot guy. Like that's kind of what you're looking at. But
the thing is, Joe, we're not a contender this year. What is our goals?
Player development.
Exactly. We're not. The goal is not to be max out on your talent and get a number 6 seed. I don't think that's the goal here.
I would almost rather be in the lottery again next year, to be completely honest with you. I mean, compete for a playoff spot with the new lottery odds, though. You might end up getting like a top 5 pick. It might not be the most advantageous thing for you to make the playoffs. If you can have one more swing in the lottery, and people might disagree with me on that, it might not be the worst thing in the world with the new lottery odds. Like, the Lakers were what, 12th or 13th, right? Or 11th? And they jumped up to top 4. Yeah. So it might not be the worst thing that you try to make the playoffs and you compete. I'm not saying lose games, but if you don't make the playoffs, I don't necessarily think it's a terrible thing with the new lottery odds that maybe you get one more bite off the apple in the lottery and maybe you strike gold. Dude, what would happen, dude, if they got like the number 1 pick next year? Seriously, if they,
Yeah. But my thing is, I would even go as far as bringing in like a guy like Vince Carter.
No shit. I'm not even joking with you. I'm looking at Vince's name right now. So that's
like
he's
the type of player that he can give you decent run. Like he'll give you 15 minutes a game. But he's been through so much and he can teach these young guys something. The main goal this year should be bringing Lauri, Wendell, Otto Porter, Zach LaVine, Coby White. These guys need to grow.
What about Jamal Crawford?
Yeah, I'd be down for Jamal. He'd give you good minutes too.
And he's an experienced guy.
Yeah.
Culture guy, leader in the locker room, right? I agree with you.
I mean, he dropped 50 last year in a game.
He still play a little bit. I would like. I mean, Kyle Quinn's not. I don't know where he'd play.
I mean, he'd have to be the backup center.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think kind of looking down the list, those vets. If Barea hadn't torn, I think he tore his Achilles, or he had a really bad injury. I forgot what happened to him, but
Achilles, yeah.
he would have been a decent option maybe to bring in. He can play, dude, and he's that steady backup point that can run your
Solid
offense.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think rounding out your team with character guys, at least for this year, is probably a good play. I don't think you necessarily have to spend big on Marcus Morris or anything like that because I'm of the belief that you're still trying to grow from within. If that growth makes it to the playoffs, because LaVine and Lauri and Carter and Otto and Coby White and Hutch and all those guys elevate up, that's one thing. I don't necessarily want to be making the playoffs though because you spent money on free agents that aren't going to be part of your future core. Does that make sense? Like
but it's not like it's a failure if we make the playoffs. If we do, that's great because then our young players get experience.
Right. I want it to be more that our young players developed and got us there. I want them to have a bigger impact than the free agent signings, unless you're going to go after D'Angelo Russell, which doesn't make real sense because you just signed Coby White or just drafted Coby White, or to going after Brogdon. That doesn't make sense to me because you just drafted it for need. So I think that they're probably going to target some smaller guys like Hollis Jefferson, like Vince Carter, Jamal Crawford. Names are escaping me. There's other names out there, but the point we're trying to get across is it doesn't have to be a big name. It could just be like veteran leadership, steady guys that are not supposed to be in the G League. Walt Lemon seems like a good kid and a hard worker. I don't necessarily know if he's an NBA player. Like Shaq Harrison actually might be like a solid rotational NBA guy at the back end of the bench. So Wayne Selden, though, like he's okay, but it's just not. It's not there. The growth and development and the jump this year has to come from your young guys. We have to find out. This is a really big year for Lauri, and it's a really big year for Zach. Carter still has a year to pretty much, kind of solidify himself. But year 3 of Lauri, he has had 1 month where he's shown what his max out is. And that dude was unreal for that month of March or February. Other than that, he's been shaky. Yep. He's been inconsistent with his shot. Defensively, he's been hot and cold. I want to believe that he's a star. He's shown 1 month of that.
Agreed. He needs to bring it this year.
Yep. This is a big year for him. And everybody wants to say, like, Lauri's the most valuable piece of this franchise. Is he? Are you sure about that? What has Lauri shown you to make you believe that he is like the core piece of the future? I think Zach's shown more than Lauri has. So
for sure. And that's not even a debate.
That bothers me though. I love Lauri, but he has not shown consistency enough for you to say he is the face of your organization. You hope he is. He's got to bring it this year. LaVine, I think, steps up and takes another step. He's too hard of a worker to be maxed out. LaVine is way too hard.
Backtrack, Joe. But another name is Taj Gibson.
So Mark Shanowski, I'm talking like I'm working at NBC right now. Mark Shanowski, I'm a producer at NBC, so I work with Mark. Mark said that he's been hearing that there's mutual interest between Taj and the Bulls. If Taj comes back on the cheap, yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be bad. He's a good culture guy.
How much would you pay Taj if you're the Bulls?
Well, what's he coming off of? He's not coming off of very much, right? Oh, yeah, actually, he is. He's coming off
he's coming off a major deal.
Yeah. 13, 14 million. I'm bad with numbers, dude. Like, what would you pay him? Like 6, 5, 6, 7? What would you max? You would go about 10.
I think he's gonna want more than that. I think he's gonna want 8 or 9.
I know, like, the hometown, like, nostalgia Bull fan in me wants him to come back because he still offers value. I mean, Joakim Noah wouldn't be bad either to bring back. I mean, because he's actually a productive player. And Taj was pretty good last year.
Taj was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd consider it for sure.
Those are the type of players that you want.
That's kind of an evasive answer on my part. I didn't give you a yes or a no. It just really depends on the money. It has to be less than 10.
Yeah, agreed. But back to Lauri. What do you think he needs to improve on most in this year?
Consistency. Assertiveness. He's got the skill. Dude can shoot the shit out of the ball, man. You give him 53s, he's probably in an open gym, he's probably making 40 to 45 of them. I mean, he's unreal talent-wise. I think is it youth that's really the inconsistent part of his game? Why did he go on that month stretch, though? Why did he tease us with that 15 to 20 games of, dude, he was tops of the league in what he was doing, and then towards the end, he fell back off. So let's kind of dig in a little bit here. And again, if you're listening to us, thanks for tuning in. This is a really long one, but screw it, we're on a roll, and I think we're talking about some really good stuff here. But Lauri is intriguing because I didn't know he could handle like he could. When we first drafted him, I saw some Finland highlights. I was like, oh shit! Like he actually, before he bulked up and got bigger, he was kind of like a small forward. I was like, he can dribble. Yeah. He can dribble. Oh, okay. Oh,
he's not just a spot shooter. What I thought he was.
Well, that's all he used him at in Arizona.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he's got this. There's a if you're a real GM poster or follower, there was a topic on there that is Lauri a one-trick pony or is he a burrito full of skills? I think he is a burrito full of skills. I think he's got a unique skill set that he can bring a lot to the table. It's about his assertiveness and his focus and his consistency, which I hope he brings it because they need more out of him. When Lauri's on, he is like I don't know what his peak is. Do you think he's top 20 at his peak? Do you think he's in that 20 to 30 range at his peak?
Right now, I think that's a reach. But
no. I'm saying at his peak. Like, where do you think he can get if he becomes more?
That's what I'm saying. At the line that I'm seeing, his progression line, I think that's a reach right now.
Okay.
I think Zach LaVine is he commands the offense too aggressively, and he needs the ball to succeed so much that it kind of hinders Lauri on the offensive end.
I think Lauri definitely needs a point guard who can put him in spots, which again is why Coby White doesn't make much sense to me because Coby White is not a guy that necessarily makes you better. He's
not looking so he's great in transition, which we referred to earlier, but he's great finishing in transition, not always finding the open shooters.
And Lauri needs a guy who can kind of find
Lauri needs someone to find him.
But he also needs to balance that out with asserting himself and breaking the offense and demanding the ball. So where does he find that middle ground?
Agreed. Is it in his DNA to seek out the ball?
It needs to be, because if not, then we've got a peripheral player who teases you like he did in March. Like if he plays consistently like he did in March, that's a top 30 player. No doubt about it. It's can he get to that level consistently for 82 games, or not even 82 games? Can he stretch out more than just 1 month? Give me 2 or 3 months of that. Like, I want to see him stack more consistency, and maybe the elbow screwed him. I don't know.
We've seen this player. Yeah, or not this player, but we've seen a player like this previously that the Bulls drafted that was overseas. And Nico, I mean, in his first or second year, there was a stretch for a few months where the dude played unreal. He shot from 40% from three. He was moving the ball. He was getting people in the air, going to the line.
I thought that there was a star, bro.
I did too. But we really need to see a large sample size before we really commit. Because a small sample size, I mean, that in the NBA, it can come and go. We've seen it.
If flashes are different, that's what separates, for instance, if you wanted to compare Lauri to Dirk, that's what separates Lauri from the ability that Dirk was able to get to. That level was Dirk was consistent for, 10, 15 years of being one of the most elite level scorers in the league nonstop and won a title. Like, Lauri's a different player. Like, Dirk was a different player, obviously, but if Lauri wants to get to be a marquee player in this league, it's got to be for more than 1 month. I think he can get there. Now it's on him. Now, maybe that injury impacted him and broke his rhythm. Maybe it's not having a consistent point guard that could get him the ball. Maybe it was the coaching change. Maybe there could be a lot of stuff. And he's a young guy, so he could be impressionable too. So he's got a big year ahead of him. I think Zach, I'm not sure what Zach quite is yet. I was pissed off when they re-signed him. I'm fully here to admit that I'm going to eat crow on that. I was wrong, really wrong.
I was too.
Because I thought he was kind of a selfish player who didn't make his team better. For the first time in his career, he was a plus player on this side. If you stack some of his
Joe, not to mention, he was coming off a serious injury.
Yep. Now I should have
previous year.
I should have considered that more when I was looking at him. I didn't really think I should have, and apologies to Zach because he made me eat my words. I'm happy about that. He's actually my favorite player on the team right now. No lie. Like I think he tries hard. Defensively, you can say, he dogs. I don't think he dogs it defensively. I just don't think he has a natural instincts on that end. Should he be better? Yeah, he should be better. But I don't think he's Harden. I don't think he has no care. Like Harden just lays guys. Mm-hmm. Zach just, I think, maybe loses focus because he's so locked in offensively. Zach, for me right now, I put a poll out yesterday. Most of the people agree he's a top 40 guy. I have him around like the 30 range, just like outside the top 30 right now, hovering top 35, top-ish, somewhere in that area. If he can maintain his scoring ability and efficiency, he averaged 24 this year, right? Gets above 25, adds a little bit more consistency to that offense, so raises percentages on 3 balls and finishing. And then if that element of playmaking comes on, I'm not talking about that he is a full-time playmaker like Harden, but if he can sprinkle a little bit of that to cut down on the turnovers and make better decisions, the game has to grow with him, not skill-wise necessarily. It's cerebrally. Say that 5 times fast. The game has to come more to him from the mental side, the processing. I don't think he's basketball stupid. I think he's just relied so much on his athleticism all of his life that now the skills have matched up to his athleticism. Now here comes the mental side of the game. Like Jordan, right? Jordan maxed out his physical tools. Then it came the mental evolution of, okay, well, I can do a fadeaway. I can develop my post game. I can do different things. I can become a better passer and playmaker. I can learn how to accentuate my teammates and leverage them and elevate their games. This is where Zach's growth comes from this year. Can he elevate and sprinkle and add a little bit more spice than just the scoring and explosive aspect?
With Zach, I love his passion for the game, and I love his passion for getting better. I think.
Do you think he's maxed out? Do you think he's maxed out?
No, I definitely don't think he's maxed out. I think sometimes he's too focused on the offensive end and getting better strictly on the offensive end, as far as just being a scorer. I don't agree with you. To take a step, I don't want him to increase his scoring load necessarily. I want to see him get other players involved and not demand the ball so much. Okay, late in the game, sometimes, yes. Give me the ball. We need a bucket. Okay? But
you'd almost rather see him sit back a little bit early on and figure out who's maybe hot and how do I get my teammate involved? Like, that's what Derek used to do. Derek used to figure out ways to, like, what do I need to do to win this game? Do I need to press it? Yeah. Or do I need to take a step back?
I agree with
Are you talking more like that a little bit?
I'm talking more like that because when I see him sometimes, he has tunnel vision.
Yep, for sure.
He has the ball in his hands and he sees the bucket.
Yep.
And he's going to do anything to get a basket, And that's where he gets into trouble. He tries to go downhill. The second, third defender comes and he forces a tough shot or it gets blocked. I saw that way too many times where he could just make an easy read and save himself for the end of the game. And
it's a game within the game.
On the most.
It's a game within the game. It's not being predictable. It's showing a defense something different. So when you get the rock, they don't load up on you. It's like, I want it to be just like, I actually agree with you. So I'm going to take back I want him to score more because we should have one of these things. It's like, prove me wrong, right? You actually kind of
proved you wrong. Okay.
You did, in a sense. I'm not going to give you that much credit. But no, yeah, I agree. I think the more variance you can give a defense and unpredictability you can give a defense, the better. Like when Zach gets the ball, it's like you want him to be kind of a double threat. It's like, or a triple threat. Is he going to shoot it? Is he going to drive it, or is he going to kick it? Is he going to call for a ball screen? Is he going to throw a pass over the top, a switch pass, or not switch pass? You know what I'm talking about? A skip pass.
Skip pass.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wrong S word. Is he going to do that? Because towards the end,
as long as he doesn't throw a shit pass.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Wrong S. Definitely not that S. And we'll wrap up here in about 5 minutes. But we just want to finish up on LaVine real quick because I really do like him, and I think towards the end of games too, he was really predictable on what he was going to do. ISO, any pull up. He'd either pull up or drive into a black hole. It's like what he should, or he'd call for a ball screen. It's like, I don't want you to call for a ball screen. Get everybody out of the way. I want you, or get a switch. If you're going to call a ball screen, get the switch. Get a switch on a big man, get a switch on somebody you can beat, and be ready and know where your shooters are. It doesn't have to be you that shoots it all the time. We knock LeBron a lot, but sometimes LeBron makes a really good play at the end where he passes it to the open guy. So, yeah, I want to see more multidimensional aspects to his game. I don't think he needs to be a finished product this year, but you want to see him, just like Lauri, being more consistent. I want to see LaVine add more spice and more flavor than just being this dude who can get 40 for you. I want to see, all right, he just made his vision. He's able to see something now. That's the part of the processing and the mental side. That's where we kind of want to see him grow.
And when you evolve that way, the way you score is going to be a lot more efficient too, because things are going to open up for you when your teammates are succeeding.
Yep.
So we'll see if he comes along in that way.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll take a next step. I think peak LaVine, if he adds more variance to his game, is probably a top 20 player, which that's a hell of a player. I think what's stopping him from being a top 10 guy is I'm not sure he's at that hardened, like Steph level of scorer and shooter. That's kind of, and handle and all that playmaker type. I don't think he's ever going to get there. I think that's too lofty of an expectation. But if that dude becomes a top 20 player, we're in fucking business, dude. For sure. That's a star. That's an all-star. That's a potential number one or like a 1A or 1B for your team. So, I agree 100%. So we went 1 hour, 40 minutes. It felt like it was 20 minutes. So if you hung on with us for the entire show, we really appreciate it. If you're listening to us, this is our first actual podcast. We're going to, be up on Spotify. And we're going to be up on iTunes. We're going to try to get on Google Play and Spreaker. We're going to figure that out. If you've been watching us the entire time, these two guys, you got to admit, we're pretty sexy, right? Pretty good looking dudes. No, I'm just playing. But normally we're going to have a guest on, but Tim and I just wanted to chat draft. I think we needed some instant reaction to draft. The actual next Hooligans episode with a guest we taped last week. It's with my dad. It's talking Michael Jordan nostalgia. That's going to be out the following week. I think the draft and everything just right now we wanted to talk about. I think we can put that Jordan stuff on the back burner, but that episode is fire. My dad, and we're not even being biased, was probably the best guest we've had so far. So be ready for that to kick out next week, and be ready for us to keep bringing you solid guests. But for Tim, for Joe, thanks for joining us. We are the Hardwood Hooligans. We'll catch y'all next time. Go Bulls. Please let us be wrong about Coby White. I would love to play this back in a year and be like, yo, Tim and Joe, you guys are a bunch of dumbasses.
Yep.
So
I'll gladly eat my words.
For sure. We will actually eat words with like pasta sauce. Would you do that?
Well, yeah, let's do it. So spaghetti, yeah.
Yeah?
I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Some a little olive oil on top. But yeah, we hope we're wrong. And we'll see where things go. But again, for Tim, I'm Joe. Catch y'all later, Chicago.